Hey there guys, so I decided to try out Sniper Elite 5 running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U, and the game is currently running right now at 1080p with the lowest in-game graphics settings. As you can see by the performance we're getting right now, it is not an enjoyable experience at all. It's really just struggling to just be anything more than a PowerPoint presentation. Luckily though, the game actually supports FSR, and if we enable FSR set to the performance mode, we can actually net a nice increase in the level of performance that we're getting out of this, because as it stands, native resolution is just not good enough. As you can see with FSR on, we are getting a nice boost in performance, where before we were struggling to really get anything above a 20 FPS average. We're now in the 40s with 1% lows that are comfortably above 30, and we're really just getting a far more consistent experience here. This pretty much is the difference completely between being a completely unplayable experience to something that is actually relatively enjoyable. It's not going to be incredible, but it's definitely a lot more playable, and you can really get away with finishing the game like this. And really, the level of performance that we're getting here is going to be more than enough for a lot of people. So if you don't even have the FPS counter on, you're not really going to tell much of a difference. But of course, this is at the 15 watt TDP, and we can actually try to squeeze out a little bit more performance if we raise the TDP to 25 watts. But for sure, it is already more than playable enough at the 15 watt TDP. So if you're on a system that can't actually have its TDP raised, or it puts you into unsafe temperatures, you can at least get away with playing the game at the stock 15 watt TDP. But if you do actually have the headroom, you can of course raise it, and here's how it performs like that. As you'll see here, the 15 watt TDP was actually kind of holding us back a little bit here, because you can see at 25 watts we're actually getting a lot closer to a 60 FPS average. The 1% lows themselves are dipping down a little bit down into the mid 30s, but they're perfectly fine, and the averages themselves are just in general just a lot better, and even in more intense areas it's able to keep up with the game a lot more. So it really seems like 25 watts actually is beneficial here and can net us a nice little increase in the level of performance that we would normally be getting. Though it's nothing that I would say is life-changing or remarkable, it is a at least welcome boost if you have the temperature headroom here. But you can see here I am getting into some relatively high temperatures where it might just be a little dangerous to be getting up into these temperature levels. Personally, I'm not too worried about my system dying from this, but I can understand if you are concerned about losing your system like that. But like I said, the game is perfectly playable at both 15 watts and 25 watts, so if you can't reach the 25 watt TDP, you don't need to worry about it too much. You're still going to be able to play the game perfectly fine on here, and it actually runs pretty well considering the fact that without FSR we would be kind of struggling here, and we would have to drop the internal render resolution. If you would like to actually increase the performance here a little bit, you can of course drop the resolution down to 900p and let FSR do some work there, but just know that now you're working with some very low resolutions here, and it might just not be worth it. But overall, for a pretty brand new title, I am very impressed with how this has performed. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the next one.